Good morning. So that was exciting. Anyway, Ryan, thank you very much for being here. And Ryan's company is a good client of my firm. And Ryan has very much of a Cinderella story. He actually founded his company in 2005, began as an incubator in Beverly Hills. And in 2009, this company basically came out from the incubation stage. From about 3 people in 2009 to now. So, Ryan can tell you about what his company does and the story behind it.
Yeah, sure. I could probably talk about my company for hours, but I'll be very brief. We do fraud prevention and security for some of the largest websites and mobile applications in the world. So today we provide back-end fraud prevention for 9 of the top 10 biggest websites in the US. So think the largest social networks, email platforms, marketplaces, classifieds, and 20 of the top 25 in the world, as well as some of the largest mobile applications. So we're a B2B company, so consumers typically aren't familiar with what we do, but you probably interact with our services almost every day in some capacity.
Yeah, so a good example is when I was traveling in Hong Kong, I get a text message on my phone and says, "Did you buy something for such amount at this location?" And text 1, if it's yes, text 2 if it's no. And basically it's what they call a 2-factor authentication service to allow fraud prevention and deterrence. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And so tell us, how your business is connected with China. Given that there is a preview of the mobile payments by the previous panel.
Yeah, so as the company's grown, I love building things, and for me, probably the toughest challenge we've had is building our presence in China. So we've actually been selling our services into China for probably about 4 to 5 years with varying successes. So we had some early quick wins, which made us a little bit ultra confident that we could go sell our services in China and be successful, and then followed by probably a lull of where we're like, all right, we really need to figure this out. And in the past 2 years I've probably gone over to China about a dozen times personally, and I've really taken this on as the executive sponsor, if you will, or really seeing this through to make sure that we build out our presence there. So like I said, I've been out there about a dozen times. We've been hiring a small team out in Beijing and starting to do really well out there.
Yeah, with the burgeoning growth of the Chinese economy and this continuous evolvement of mobile pay and the online banking, what are some of the challenges that you are seeing trying to grow your presence in China?
Yeah, it's really hard. I could probably list off a ton of challenges. Not the least of which is the language challenge, obviously, from myself and most of the team. I usually try to pick up a few phrases just so that I can be conversational, or more likely so that customers can laugh at me. But the language is obviously very challenging, and then probably most is just you need to have a local presence there. So for a while we were selling in remotely, trying to fake being a local company, and that just doesn't work when you want to enter China. So we have to do everything local, localize our documentation, have local people, have a local office, get business cards in Chinese, start using WeChat instead of other chat applications. So everything really has to be localized, and that's not easy to do as an American company and not a huge company. But we've certainly seen that if you do that, you can see some huge rewards there, and that's what we've done.
How many employees do you have now in China?
Yeah, it's really tiny. We have like about 4 or 5 people in China now, but when you look at our market, and we've done tons of analysis on this, we think that China could easily be our #1 market in a few years. So I would expect that to probably double in the next year and continue to grow.
Yeah, I can vouch for that personally. In that, my in-laws and my parents are well into their 70s, and they have just began using Taobao and all the Alipays and signed up for those things. So yeah, I think there's some huge, tremendous growth there.
Yeah, I'm pretty terrible at guessing how big we'll be there. I used to think that in the U.S. we would have no more than 8 employees total, and we have about 300 now. So I estimated a little bit wrong here, so I have no idea how big we'll be in China. any guess I tell you, just throw it aside. I'm terrible at guessing about that.
Yeah, very good. And in terms of working with some of the name brands in China, do you find that they are pretty easy to deal with, or you find it's just a quagmire that's hard to navigate?
No, actually, I've really enjoyed working with especially the large web properties in China, and they definitely remind me of a lot of the companies up in Silicon Valley where our meetings will be very engaging. They'll be, typically we're there to sell products, but they'll be really conversational, really consultative. We'll deep dive, we'll whiteboard, and the meetings are actually really fun. And I find the talent there is really impressive as well. But actually, I wouldn't say that part's hard. It's kind of all the logistical pieces and making sure that we seem like a Chinese company doing business there.
What about some of the laws and regulations? Do you find those difficult to comply with?
Somewhat. We have a software as a service product, and we haven't run into too many regulations just from a software side. Luckily, we have a big legal and finance team that have helped take care of all the setting up entities and that piece, and so I get to enjoy more on. I get to spend most of my time on the fun stuff, which to me is building the teams, building our presence there, and luckily I've been able to avoid most of the logistical pieces.
Very good. So what's the funny Chinese phrase you can tell the audience?
Oh my gosh, you're putting me on the spot. Let's see. It's usually like when I'm handing out business cards before a meeting, which actually the first time I went to China, I brought like just a tiny stack of cards because when I go to meetings everywhere else, I usually come back with the exact same number of cards I left with. And in China, that's definitely not the case. So now I have to like pack like this huge stack of cards, and every time I go, I still run out. But I asked my team there to teach me just how to say like "it's nice to meet you" in Chinese, and which I learned later you don't actually say in Chinese, but I'll attempt it. But you're all probably gonna laugh at me. But so I'd walk around handing out cards, and the response I'd always get was just laughing at me. So I'm sure I'm messing it up. But I'd be like, "Yeah, practice right now." Well, I think I have a card.
Yeah, but if next time we go to China, I haven't had an opportunity to tell you. If you want to say "nice to meet you," you will say "xing hui."
Xing hui. Okay. Yeah, I would usually say like "很高兴认识你" and wash your eye.
I'm sorry.
Exactly. 2 hands always. Yeah.
Well, this having this entrepreneurial focus and having this very brave attitude, I think is what really requires for someone like Ryan's company to go into China. So I wish you and your company best of luck, and we'll always be here for you.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have a party to invite you all to later, but would love to connect with you. Just add me on LinkedIn or connect with me later. We're looking to build our presence there, and we very much do that, very grassroots. So we'd love to connect with any of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.